This is a story that happened last April to me. I work as a traveling cameraman, a freelance cameraman, traveling around Europe, different cities, filming travel footage. And I was traveling around when I came to Barcelona. And I've been traveling through about 30 cities at this point. I'm really wrecked from traveling. And I don't know if anyone who travels a lot, you get this weird thing after a while where you begin to kind of forget yourself. You know, it's kind of like you're not around anybody who knows you, you're not around anywhere you've been, so suddenly your personality becomes like a little list that you refer back to, kind of like, oh, I didn't know Tom went to school in Dublin, that's mad, you know? So I was kind of weary of all of this and not really having anyone to properly talk to. When I came to Barcelona, I decided I wouldn't go out that night, but fate was just set against this for the entire night. I went to my hostel room and there were all these American girls who kept saying, we're going to go on a pub crawl together, and to try and get me to go on a pub crawl, they wouldn't stop using the phrase, woo! As though that's just going to make me change my mind, you know? I think this would be a nice introverted night after all, actually, yes. So then I left them, I went up to the bar and I met this Norwegian guy, who then, and he, as it happened, was also a cameraman. And I began talking to him, we were getting along, I find, you know, it was like I had someone to talk to about stuff. And then suddenly his friend, the most arrogant man in the world, suddenly came into the room and swooped in front of him, covered him completely, and just said, I have a job too. And what do you say to that? You know? He said, it's not camera work, but it's accounting. And then, and I couldn't see his friend anymore because this guy was in the way. And then after a moment, without waiting a second, he just goes, you got a good voice, I got a good face. Let's pick up chicks. So I weighed my options there, and for some reason the stupid optimist in me was, this guy, I would normally, he is a handsome guy. I could have a chance to get, you know, I mean, this could attract him out in Barcelona. It's going to be a great place to go partying. Okay, I'll go with him. We went all the way down the Ramblas for ages. He was insufferable and boring, and finally we got to the club, paid in. But the minute we got into the club, we were basically ordering drinks. A beautiful blonde girl comes right up to us and just says to the guy, you're an extremely handsome man. Can I have my photo taken with you? And so I couldn't believe it. And then basically she takes the photo and the two Norwegian guys go off with her and her friend, and I'm left there on my own in the club. And I'd already paid a tenner in, so I began to take as much tequila and rum as I could and wander around and try and, but cut to basically 2 hours later, and I'd already used up all 3 of my dance moves. One of which is, which you can have for free, by the way. And I was just doing a circuit of the club eventually, you know, because I just had noticed I was just wandering around with a cheery expression. I began to feel kind of like, I can't describe it, but have you ever, when you come from when you get off the plane and you go down to get your baggage, and there's a bag still there from the last flight that no one's picking up. And it's just going around and around. And it always, to me, appears vaguely optimistic. I'm sometimes tempted when I'm in airports to pick up the bag, but that would be theft. So what can you do? So eventually I said, this isn't, you know, I'm just sick of this, kind of, so I'm going to go back to the hostel. So I trudge back all the way up the Ramblas, all the way up to Paseo de Gracia, and I get back to the hostel. And there at the hostels, I can't get back into the hostel because there at the top of the steps are one of the American girls in this Scottish guy's arms, and there's puke all the way up the steps. And it's kind of like an obstacle course of puke that you have to get up to get to. And she's there with drool all over her mouth. And it was a lovely scene, yeah. And so I think, oh God, no, they're in my room as well. And so then the paramedics come and they take her in, but they lift her up and they put her on the gurney. And then this is the worst part. Just they pick her up and put her on the gurney, her leg slips down, and she pooed herself. And and the only phrase, it kind of slid out just like watery cars onto the ground. And so finally, with her gone, And I talked to the Scottish guy, and he said, "Oh, geez, you know, what the hell happened?" You know? And he said, "I don't know, we had like 4 or 5 drinks, and she just..." And I was like, "What about her friend?" And he said, "Well, she kind of got sick in her own bed, so we put her in yours." So I was fed up, so I said, "Listen, I'm leaving. I'm gonna go back to the club." Because I'm needed there. And I was wandering down all the way back down the Ramblas, and I was feeling terrible. It felt like the whole world was just full, on the one hand, of people who just reject you before they even see you, because you jump in the air like this. And then on the other hand, it's full of all these people who just puke and poo themselves all the time, non-stop. And so I was feeling suddenly, and the drink I'd taken hit me, and I suddenly just collapsed on the street. Which is, if anyone been to Barcelona, the Ramblas, it's a really bad area after midnight. It's actually full of pickpockets and prostitutes and pimps and things like that. So suddenly, anyway, I don't know quite how long I was out for, probably 10 or 15 minutes in my day, because I suddenly jolted awake, and suddenly I checked all my pockets, everything was fine. There was a guy going by selling beer and soft drinks, so I bought an energy drink, and I suddenly had a new hit of life. I was like, hurrah, I'm gonna go find fun. Watch out, fun. And as I paced around the place trying to find fun, and I just heard these 4 people who looked so cool walk out, 2 guys and 2 girls, and they were talking in Spanish together, and they wandered past, and then I was like, wow, they're so cool. And then they said 1 or 2 things in English, so I ran up, and I introduced myself, and suddenly there were 2 guys and 2 girls. The girl turns around to talk to me, and she was pretty much the most beautiful girl I'd seen in months. She had these gorgeous, melted, dark, chocolatey eyes, and big, sweet smile. And they were all Mexican, and so I managed to charm them enough that they said, "Oh, why don't you come to the beach to smoke joints with us and have some fun?" And I knew these people were cool, you know? So I got on the metro, we were going down, and suddenly I got the Mexican girl, to translate into Spanish for me to talk to people on the train. So I asked them who their favorite Spice Girl had been, who their favorite person on the train was. And to follow on from that, if you had to elect a president of the train, who would it be? So, I was not chosen as president of the train as the girl was. So, anyway, suddenly we're there standing around waiting for the thing when the train lurches, and I fall forward a bit. And then, oh, this is embarrassing. I suddenly remember that bit, you know, in Austin Powers, you know, when he's with the girl and he wants to make a move, so he just pretends he's falling all the time. And he just goes, "Oh, I'm falling. Oh, look how clumsy I am, I'm falling all the time." So I started doing that on the train. And then I don't know whether she just didn't get the joke or what, but she's like, "Oh, I'm falling too." And then I thought, has she seen the movie? It's a very popular film. And so I decided, why not? So I take her in my arms and kiss her. Anyway. And pause, and it's fine. Oh, that's not the end of the story. I kind of wish it was. But anyway. So we go to the beach and we're getting on really well, and then suddenly I decide I'm going to impress my cool friends by going in and swimming. So I get down into my boxers, run into the sea, and then when the water hits me, I remember that I can't swim, and none of them are in the water, so I just have to walk around doing this, and hope they're fooled. And finally, after doing that for a while, I come back up, and we're chatting, and the sun is coming up, and it's becoming day, and I realize they're all going to leave, and I suddenly think, okay, what will I do? And then suddenly I say, again, this is kind of embarrassing, I say, "Oh, you know, Maria, in art house and French movies, when people meet on holidays by accident and stuff, they tend to like move into hotels together and stuff and live together for a while." So she said, "Oh, that's great actually, I know a hotel nearby." So anyway, So my luck had kind of begun to change, you could say. And so we got to the hotel, have my passport and credit cards, we're able to get a booking and everything, it's near the sea. Everything goes swimmingly, I'm not going to go into details. Okay, and I wake up in the morning, I'm thinking, oh my god, like there could not be a bigger reversal of my look that I could have envisaged, really. And the girl says, you know, I'd love to meet, meet me at this evening at the square, Catalonia Square. So I said, great. So I wander back to the hostel, happy as anything, come in, and the Norwegian guys are there. And I wander up, and I've never really swaggered before. I've never really seen myself swagger, but I think I did swagger there. And they say, where were you after last night? I said, well. So I tell them the full story, and they say, oh really? You know, I was like, oh yeah, that's what happened. And they say, where did you meet the girl? And I was like, oh, just down halfway down around us, near that other little corner where the mattress stop is. And oh, you know, Tom, that's actually like, that's where all the like, prostitutes and con artists usually come back from work and kind of hang out. And they're usually going to pray and I'm like, oh no, I didn't pay or anything. And they're like, well, you know, once you didn't see your credit card and passport details and address and everything. I was like, well, I'd actually given those out when we were at the hotel, yeah. And so I suddenly, everything kind of plummets in my stomach, and my swagger is clearly gone now. And I run down, and I look on the back of the card, there's the little number to ring, just cancel your card. And I realize it's already been about 8 hours, so I call it up, and a really lovely girl from Ireland answers. I'm in a panic, I get the number wrong twice. And then she answers, she's like, hello. And I said, like, oh, I need to cancel my card. And she was, I just wanted to go and like move back to Ireland and live with her forever. And eat potato and watch Father Ted. I didn't want to be on the Mediterranean anymore. And so I said, listen, I really need to cancel the card right away because something terrible has happened. And my voice was kind of cracking. And she said, no, what's happened? I was like, it takes a long time to explain. She said, well, listen, calm down, you're fine. Like, I said, can you give me like the last thing that was bought on the credit card? She said, I'll read out the last 3. And I was like, oh no. And she says, the last thing was the hotel you booked last night. So suddenly, I'm on the phone, I just go, oh God, I guess she did really like me. And the Irish girl is like, what? And I said, oh, it doesn't matter at this point. I have to go because I have to meet a girl. I have to meet the girl, and I'm gonna goodbye. So I realize I'm kind of running late, so I run down Paseo de Gracia all the way to Plaza Catalonia, and the traffic stops me. And I can see her on the other side of the traffic, and I'm watching, and I see her kind of just through the traffic, looking worried that I wouldn't turn up. And I was like, and it suddenly struck me, I guess, what I've been trying to say to the Bank of Ireland girl, was that, I don't know, when you're growing up, you're kind of constantly told that the hardest thing ever will be to get someone to like you, you know, and all that kind of stuff. But then, suddenly, it can be really difficult to let someone actually like you, or to believe in it and everything. It can suddenly be a challenge. So anyway, I crossed the street, and we started a really nice month-long relationship till the end. Back to Mexico. The end.